I think we have a match. If you define the American dream as anybody being able to achieve anything, like this just hustle his way into Congress.
The whole thing is just, it's quite bewildering to me. I mean, how he even got elected.
Maybe I am a capitalist now. Maybe I will devote my life to hustling, because you can just do whatever you want. You want to be a congressman, you just gotta bullshit. You gotta have the big enough balls to bullshit your way into doing it. So, in the last couple of hours, reports have broke that a official in New York says they got the dirt on Santos, and they can prove that he admitted to committing a crime.
Brennan. And I'm Dana Tyler. A Long Island Republican Party leader says he has proof Congressman George Santos admitted to crimes in Brazil.
And that's not the only new revelation about the Republican representative. CBS 2's Jennifer McLogan on the new videos released and what they reveal.
The Santos campaign office in Douglaston, Queens, appeared closed again as new videos of him emerged, including one about Baruch College, the school Santos never attended.
I actually went to school on a volleyball scholarship. We went to play against Harvard, Yale, and we slay them. Look, I sacrificed both my knees and got very nice knee replacements from HSS playing volleyball. That's how serious I took the game.
I feel betrayed.
100% lies.
The Democrat who lost the election to Santos, Robert Zimmerman, says following a brutal five-way primary.
Imagine being Bob Zimmerman and losing to that piece of shit.
He didn't have the time or money to chase his opponent.
Our campaign, as we were just starting for the general election without funds, without resources, was not in a position to send a team to Brazil to check out his background. We weren't in a position to hire a genealogist to check out his Jewish ancestry.
So my name is Anthony DeVolder.
At a 2019 event held by the conservative Walk Away Foundation, Santos urged members of the LGBTQ community to embrace Donald Trump.
You can help educate other trans people from not having to follow the narrative that the media and the Democrats put forward.
Grant Lally, the Republican lawyer who runs the GOP-leaning The North Shore Leader, refused to endorse Santos from the start.
I met with him in 2020 when he first ran. And right away, again, we thought he was very strange and not, frankly, not a serious candidate.
He says Santos did nothing but brag about his mansions and fancy cars.
His mansions!
He refused to meet with us.
Lally showed us documents from police in Brazil. Santos admitted to stealing and forging checks to purchase expensive clothing and shoes in 2008.
Santos attracted the attention of local, state, and federal investigators after disclosing he earned $55,000 in 2021, but loaned his campaign $705,000 in 2022.
So where did that money go? Or was it not real?
Someone bought George Santos. The question is who bought him. It's up to Kevin McCarthy and the Republican leadership in Congress to find out immediately.
I don't think they care.
Repeated calls to Speaker McCarthy's and Congressman Santos's offices were not returned. On Long Island, Jennifer McLogan, CBS 2 News.
I'm going to go with George Santos over here, who has been put on 2 committees by Kevin McCarthy, even though he or someone on his staff pretended to be Kevin McCarthy's chief of staff. Rep. George Santos gets House committee seats despite blowback. Santos has secured 2 committee assignments despite receiving growing blowback for fabricating key details of his background that were central to his campaign. Republicans and Democrats have called on Santos to resign, and the freshman lawmaker faces numerous investigations into his financial disclosures, campaign finances, and outstanding legal issues. Santos on Tuesday got a seat on the House Committee on Small Business and a seat on the House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology. Santos has maintained that he will not give up his seat in Congress despite public pressure to do so. We also have his former roommate, saying that that's not the name he knew him by.
About the lies New York Congressman George Santos told as a younger man about his family's wealth and his business success. His former roommate, Gregory Maury Parker, joins us now. And in full transparency, a little technical difficulty there. And so we're glad you're here and that you're able to hear us loud and clear. You good?
Yes, I am. Good morning, Don.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, you knew Santos for a number of years, starting in 2013. How did you end up living in the same house?
Do we call him DeVolder?
So my lease in Astoria was up in Queens, and he was like, oh, well, you know, the New York rental market is ridiculous. Come stay with me for, you know, a month or two while we get everything, you know, sorted out and try to find you a place. And I was like, oh, okay. So I took him up on it, moved in. It was definitely an interesting few months.
Well, explain that to us. What was he like back then? Why do you say it was interesting?
Well, he, I suppose the biggest thing that I took away from it was like just delusions of grandeur. Like he would just go to bars with, you know, like rolls of $100 bills, and, you know, 3 days later he would have no money. Or, you know, he would constantly be saying, oh, well, you know, I'm going to sell my phone. I'm going to sell my phone. Do you know anybody who wants to buy it?
The fucking hustler.
And, you know, I'm like, well, why are you
I had a girlfriend like that.
Don't worry about it. And it's just, things just started continuously spiraling and getting like kind of ridiculously crazy. You know, his mother was a housekeeper in Manhattan, and it just didn't seem feasible for him supposedly to come from all this generational wealth, if you will. And why are you doing the things that you're doing? It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, he had made allegations that he came from generational wealth, and you're saying that his mother was a housekeeper in the city in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So people are going to wonder, and also, you know, you knew him through another name, right? The last name DeVolder.
Yes, I've always known him as Anthony DeVolder.
Anthony.
I've never known him as George Santos. I was actually quite surprised. I guess he, you know, went by his middle name and his mother's name. But yeah, no, I've always known him as Anthony DeVolder.
Mm-hmm. So listen, you know, people, Greg, are going to wonder why you're coming out. They're going to say, well, that's his side of the story. And do need to tell our viewers that we did reach out to George Santos's representatives, his lawyers, and we haven't heard back from them, although we have been trying.
Let's call him Anthony.
To get an interview with him. He has declined. His representatives have declined. And even his office in Washington. You say something wasn't.
Yeah, he only goes on friendly outlets.
About himself and the life that he led, right? His name, Anthony DeVolder, as you knew him, his wealth and what have you. What else doesn't add up? What else?
Well, just I kind of assumed that he had made up, you know, about going to Baruch and NYU. But then I thought, well, maybe I was wrong, you know, after the election. Because I'm sure the DCCC, you know, and the RNC would have, you know, investigated him, and at least his opponent would have done some research. So I kind of thought, well, maybe I'm wrong. You know, maybe this is just, you know, the truth, and I was incorrect. But I mean, obviously, the truth has finally come out. And I don't understand. Did he go like one by one to everybody in his district and just literally pull the wool over their eyes? Like, how? It's flabbergasting.
I'm wondering if this was the end of, I guess it was a rocky relationship, and it started off well, and because this is, again, according to you, you believe that he stole a Burberry scarf from you and wore it when he gave a speech in D.C. on January of 2021. This is January 5th, 2021, one day before the Capitol attack. Now, CNN has not independently verified this claim. In the speech, Santos falsely claimed that the 2020 congressional election was stolen from him. Now, you say this is not, you know, it's more than just a stolen scarf. This is bigger than that. Did he take other things, and why are you saying this is bigger than just a scarf?
Well, it just bothers me. I mean, he is one of the you know, highest elected officials in the country. You know, he's responsible for you know, making the laws. And yes, I mean, I do miss my stone check Burberry scarf, but at the same time,
he still got the scarf.
Like they're not focusing enough on the issues at hand. You know, where did all this money come from to finance the campaign? You know, why? The whole thing is just, it's quite bewildering to me. I mean, how he even got elected.
Well, we appreciate you joining us this morning, Gregory Morey Parker. Thank you so much.
Guys, I just had a fucking epiphany. If you define the American dream as anybody being able to achieve anything, like this motherfucker can just hustle his way into Congress. Donald Trump got to be president. If that is what you call the American dream, then like we have achieved it. Then this hyper-capitalistic society has reached the pinnacle. Maybe I am a capitalist now. Maybe I will devote my life to hustling, because you can just do whatever the fuck you want. You want to be a congressman, you just gotta bullshit it. You gotta have the big enough balls to bullshit your way into doing it, and you can do it. Apparently, you could just bullshit your way into being president. You can probably bullshit your way into being a CEO. Lie on your fucking resume. Who gives a fucking shit? We have created a society where, like, fucking, if you could just fucking scam your way, you can do anything you fucking want. Start a cult. Sell out. Go work for, like, the most heartless fucking corporation you can. Capitalism is awesome. Any goddamn dumb fuck can do whatever they want to do in this country. Holy shit. I may have been wrong about all this leftist shit. I would like to go one day without talking about this man. He makes it impossible. New developments in the saga of George Santos, who apparently stole money from a dying dog's charity.
Veteran says that the congressman organized a fundraiser for his dying service dog back in 2016, only to pocket the money himself.
He shared his story with CBS 2's Christina Fan.
I don't want to laugh at this.
Rich Ostoff first approached George Santos in 2016. The New Jersey veteran was disabled, homeless, and...
Did he approach George Santos, or did he approach Anthony DeVolder, which we believe is his actual name?
Desperate for help. His service dog, Sapphire, had developed a life-threatening cyst that required immediate surgery.
Sweet baby.
That dog saved my life more than twice. She knew when my moods were changing. She knew when I was depressed. She knew when I was going manic. She would wake me up when I was having nightmares.
A veterinary tech recommended Santos, who at the time went by the name Anthony DeVolder and claimed to run a charity called Friends of Pets United. Santos created this GoFundMe, writing, when a veteran reaches out to ask for help, how can you say no? In 2 months, the campaign raised the necessary $3,000.
I wanted to go back to the vet. He wouldn't let me have the money to go to the veterinarian. I had to go through his veterinarian, through all of his services. And that was when I started realizing that it was starting to become very, very difficult to deal with this guy.
Text messages show the two arguing back and forth, with Santos writing the vet couldn't operate because it's very invasive. Michael Ball, a veterans advocate, said he tried to mediate, but Santos refused to give up the money and then disappeared.
Igloo, good evening.
Tried to contact the authorities down where Rich lives and press charges, but there was not enough information to do that.
Without the fundraising money, Sapphire died a few months later.
I had to panhandle for the money. I had to beg and plead just to have her euthanized.
Losing Sapphire was so
I'm sorry, I should hit the content warning for
never
this.
forgot about George Santos. Imagine his surprise when he saw the now congressman on TV 7 years later, accused of fraud.
I got a sick feeling in my stomach when I saw his face. And as soon as they said, "What's your name today? Is it George Santos or Anthony DeVolder?" Oh.
He says he's sharing
Joey, good evening.
so everyone will see the real Santos. Christina Fan, CBS 2 News.
And we reached out to Santos's congressional staff for comments. So far, there has been no response.
I would assume $3,000 is felony fucking fraud. What a monster. I'm stunned. Just joining us, learned that Congressman George Santos, Anthony DeVolder, created a fake, apparently he ran a fake dog charity, and then he created a GoFundMe and scammed a dude out of his dying dog's money. We'll talk about some drag queens. So I'm getting ready to play a story for you that says that George Santos is responding to his latest allegations. I'm not sure if they are talking about the dog charity that he was, the scam dog charity that he was apparently running. That could be that one. It could be the allegations that he was a Brazilian drag queen named Katara. I'm pretty sure that's him in the picture. It is apparently his friend that has gone public with this picture of... No, I don't think I want a beer. Thank you though, Curiouser. I probably don't want I usually like a fruity drink, apple cider or something. She likes those tart beers, like stouts and shit. Light one up, tip one back. That's your thing, go for it. Fight zombies. Should I try a white zombie? It sounds kind of fruity. I'm so like, drinking's alright. It's just not my buzz of choice. I like it getting high. But anyway, this is George Santos responding to the latest claims against him, which I'm not sure if it's the puppy scam
George
charity.
Santos now responding to multiple new allegations made
Multiple.
against him.
Okay, multiple.
Prove even further he's unfit to remain a member of Congress.
Santos says the claims are false. This as Nassau County law.
Why not both? If you like both, go for it.
His resignation. CBS 2's Ania Maldonado brings us the details.
The calls for Republican Congressman George Santos to resign aren't ending anytime soon, and it appears the scandals he's involved in aren't either. The media continues to make outrageous claims about my life while I am working to deliver results. I will not be distracted nor fazed by this.
He lies about every item on his resume, and every day we say it can't get any worse. I'm here to say that it
is not work. Like, being a drag queen, totally cool. Makes you cooler in my book, George Santos. It's just kind of the hypocrisy of the Republican Party. The fact that, like, you're denying that you were when I'm pretty sure that's you. I mean, I'm bad at being able to tell faces, but my God. Should I could go to Photoshop and lay his face. I'll do that during the break. I'll pull up Photoshop. If you're subscribed, I'll take the Photoshop and put over his face. And if you're not subscribed, you'll see it when you come back.
This is the final straw.
Nassau County legislator Josh Lafazan, alongside a veteran living in Santos' 3rd congressional district, calling out the newly elected congressman following the news.
It doesn't surprise me.
Scandal. A homeless veteran says Santos helped him raise $3,000 for his dying dog back in 2016 through Santos Pet Charity, exchanging these text messages with him. But the man says he never got the money and his dog died 6 months later.
That's bullshit.
One of 435 people tasked with taking care of our veterans in this country.
What he's done all along seems despicable. I'm not sure what straw will break the camel's back, but I too call for McCarthy to man up, stand up, speak up, and do something to expel George Santos.
Santos tweeting today in part, the reports that I would let a dog die is shocking and insane. My work in animal advocacy was the labor of love and hard work. These distractions won't stop me. There's also this falsehood on his campaign website. Santos claimed his mother was in the World Trade Center on 9/11. Yet a source told CBS News her immigration documents show she was in Brazil at the time of the attack.
Wow.
Continued calls to resign. Santos has secured seats on 2 congressional committees and the backing of House Republican leadership.
Speaker McCarthy, what more do you have to see out of George Santos before you say enough is enough?
And allegedly,
it's
Santos
time for a
has not shown
change.
his face at all here in his own district since taking on his new role. From Mineola, Ania Maldonado, CBS 2 News.
All right, if you are not subscribed on Twitch, you're going to get their commercial breaks. We're just going to bullshit while you're gone. And when you come back, we find out what that news be doing. Check it out. We've got new emotes. You might have to refresh your browser though. Yeah, Twitch approved a couple of them. God, they're being so slow on everything. Dustin, good evening. Pride Troll. Content warning. Finally, I have submitted content warning like 5 or 6 different times and it's been turned down every time. Really pisses me off. Hey, you got some new shit. Telling me Macho Man's locked. It's telling me I need to subscribe. Why would I need to subscribe to my own channel? What the fuck is up with you, Twitch? That's wild. Should I pack another bong? Should I get curious or a little more high? Is she high enough for this shit? Twitch broke? Or did it just break for me? I had access to all my other shit. There we go. There's a Macho Man. Yeah. I've got others coming. I got others coming. I'm happy about Pride Troll. It got right with the Lord. It finally straightened its ass up. The shit that's on my Photoshop, like, quick select. Pictures of George. Well, this is a problem. Where'd you go to? Oh, it's still over here. I don't know how I did that. Okay, hold on. We're doing investigation shit. I don't know about you guys. I think we have a match. Tadpole. I do believe that's the same person. That like this. He denies it's him, but I mean, it's the same fucking smile. My God. I want to go a day without talking about this motherfucker. But this is just like everything, because like it just like that is the same dude. Time lapse. Check that out. No one's mad he's gay. No, he actually looks really good as a woman. Check him out. I'd swipe right on Grindr. Is that what you do on Grindr? I don't even know. I haven't been on there in so long I don't fucking remember. Oh, I was planning on making like a TikTok of it. That's just too perfect. One, like, he's a member of the Republican Party, and the Republican Party has spent the better part of the last 2+ years calling trans people groomers. And attacking Drag Queen Story Hour and shit like that, so kind of hypocritical. And then the fact that he has lied about everything. He said his family fled the Holocaust, and that was a lie. Said his mom died from complications from 9/11. That was a lie. Said he went to Baruch College. That was a lie. Said his name was George Santos, and apparently that's a lie, and his name was actually Anthony DeVolder. He ran a scam charity that raised money for dying dogs and then ripped a dude off.
We're almost out of time, but I got to ask you about George Santos. His lies are so numerous that they're easy to lose track of. I want to tick through just a couple. He claimed that he was Jewish and the grandson of Holocaust survivors. He claimed to have attended Horace Mann Prep School in the Bronx. He did not. He said he was graduated Baruch College as the top 1% of his class, and he was the star volleyball player on the team, volleyball scholarship. He never even attended the school. He claimed he worked for Goldman Sachs and Citigroup. He didn't. He said his company lost 4 employees at the Pulse nightclub shooting. He did not. He claimed his mother's death was somehow...
Oh, I hadn't heard the one about the Pulse nightclub.
...tied to 9/11. This also appears to be false. There are many more. I could go forward. Should he resign? I mean, should he be in Congress?
You know, if it was me, I would resign. I wouldn't be able to face my voters after having gone through that. But this is between him and his constituents, largely. They elected him in, and he's going to have to deal with them on that. I don't think his re-election chances will be that promising, depending on how he handles this. But
that may be the understatement of the day. All right, Congressman Bacon, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Since he brought up Santos, we'll go ahead and we'll jump ahead. This was Santos with the reporters last week.
Congressman Santos, what is your response to those that are calling for you to resign?
I will not resign. I will be continuing to hold my office elected by the people.
How do you feel like you're able to serve your people?
He tripped over the newspaper.
Congressman Santos, what is your response to those that are calling for you to resign?
I will not resign.
Yum, brownies.
To hold my office elected by the people.
How do you feel like you're able to serve your people?
But we didn't just come here to laugh at him for tripping over a newspaper. I'm clumsy. That's not why we're here. Apparently, this is the biggest doozy of a lot. Why can they get any bigger? So we have video. It's a David Pakman video. No way. Oh, here we go. Here's the original video. This is from 2019. During a Q&A session at a walkaway LGBT event, where Santos said trans people could benefit from a trans conservative activist educating them. Yeah, Blair White is doing a real good job of that.
Yeah, we're the haters.
Oh, you gotta be here.
So my name is Anthony DeVolder. I'm a New York City resident. I recently founded a group called United for Trump, so if you guys want to follow, that would be awesome. My question's directed for both Blair and Brandon. Well, Brandon's an idol to all of us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But Blair, I have a...
So this is Anthony DeVolder, better known as Congressman George Santos.
Brandon. Well, Brandon's an idol to all of us.
Go Brandon.
You're welcome.
But Blair, I have a question. How do you think that as a trans woman and a conservative, you can help educate other trans...
So the one thing I thought that he was telling the truth about was that he was gay, but now looking at that facial hair, I do wonder, are you actually gay?
From not having to follow the narrative that the media and the Democrats put forward, and how can Brandon incorporate that into Walkaway in more in depth? That's my question.
My approach has always been to just live my life authentically, make the videos I want to make, and I don't like using the word educate because I feel like who am I to teach anyone anything? I just want to be myself, and I feel like that actually does work wonders. I think that I know that I'm inundated with comments all the time saying,
yeah, Blair, well, I want to teach people to not be so certain about fucking dumbass opinions they have.
I've been a conservative Republican my whole life. I, have been so turned off by the view of trans people in the media and the activists that have, sometimes a larger platform than people like you. And my channel kind of gives them a different side. So for me, that's my form of activism, if you can call it that. And was there a second part to your question? Oh, okay.
Was how to incorporate it in depth. Transgenderism?
Exactly. You can have me at more events.
Well, yeah, done.
Here's the problem: is the audience that you're going for is absolutely revolted by Blair, which still boggles my mind that she considers herself a conservative. I can't imagine the hate that she receives.
Is George Santos invited?
Again, I love how everybody laughed at that. Look, as you know, it's a event for the new member, the new Congress. So everyone is invited who is part of the new Congress. I just don't have a confirmation on who is attending at this time. But I understand the question. I just don't have that. Go ahead. 10.
Is George Santos invited?
Again, I love how everybody laughed at that.
He is the laughingstock of Capitol Hill, isn't he? Got new claims against him. I don't even know what they are. I'm tired of talking about him. But apparently there's video.
Long, but definitely not exhaustive list of the known lies of freshman Republican Congressman George Santos of New York. You're probably familiar with some of the greatest hits by now, the volleyball star and Wall Street fortune.
Yeah, imagine being so stupid that you get laughed at Capitol Hill.
Did you know that Congressman George Santos also claims he was the target of an assassination attempt, which required him being put under official police protection? That is what George Santos claimed last month in an interview with a Brazilian podcast. The podcast is called Radio Novelo Apresenta. Forgive my pronunciation. Radio Novelo Apresenta. They shared this video from the interview exclusively with us. So you won't see this anywhere else, but I want you to see it. In this interview, then Congressman-elect George Santos is speaking with the hosts in Portuguese. So we have subtitled it. He starts off talking about an alleged act of vandalism, which he says was targeted at him simply because he's a Republican. But then in the midst of that, he says, oh, also someone tried to murder him.
Em janeiro de 2021, a minha casa sofreu vandalismo.
Meu marido e eu, a gente tinha ido para uma festa de fim de ano, em 2020, na Flórida. Vou para uma festa de Réveillon com meu marido.
Wait, does he speak Portuguese? Wow. But did they like? He's speaking it. Those are his lips moving. It's not like a Brazilian voiceover, is it? Like he's speaking it. Wait, he is from Brazil?
Eu fui assaltado por 2 homens.
He was mugged by 2 men before asking any questions. They weren't black.
Mas eles me assaltaram.
Why did you have to throw that in there? They weren't black. No one asked. It's like Lindsey Graham saying, there's no classified documents at my house. You're telling on yourself somehow. What?
É aquilo, eu já sofri vandalismo, a gente já sofreu atentado de vida, atentado de assassinato, carta ameaçadora, ter que ter escolta de polícia parado na frente da nossa casa.
We have already suffered an attempt on my life, an assassination attempt. There was an assassination attempt, really. Then Congressman-elect George Santos did not elaborate on his claim in the interview. We have tonight reached out to Congressman Santos's office to get more information about him saying that he was the victim of an attempted murder, getting New York police protection at his home as a result. There ought to be a record of that sort of thing if it happened. We've inquired about this claim from him. We have not heard back. We do live in hope. Mr. Santos did offer more detail
Got
about
a handful of howdy from him.
he says was committed against him. In this interview with the same Brazilian podcast, he said he was the victim of a very, very, very brazen mugging in the middle of the day, in the middle of New York, one of New York City's busiest thoroughfares.
No verão de 2020,
in the middle of Fifth Avenue,
da Quinta Avenida com a 55, eu fui assaltado por 2 homens.
Mugged by 2 men.
Pergunte, não foram negros, eram brancos, inclusive. Mas eles me assaltaram, levaram minha pasta, levaram
took his briefcase, took his shoes and his watch.
Na luz do dia.
Broad daylight, 3 p.m., leaving his office.
No meu escritório, indo pra garagem, pegar meu carro.
Going to the garage, getting his car, he was mugged.
A minha casa foi violada.
His house was assaulted.
Eles arrancaram seu sapato em plena Quinta Avenida.
They stole your shoes in the middle of Fifth Avenue. The radio host asked, because it's so absurd, they stole your shoes in the middle of Fifth Avenue.
São 3 e pouca da tarde, eu estava saindo do meu escritório, indo para a garagem, pegar meu carro, e eu fui assaltado. A minha casa foi violada,
Eles arrancaram seu sapato em plena Quinta Avenida.
Sim, em plena Quinta Avenida.
That wasn't even the worst of it. Nobody did anything. Nobody did anything, Santos said.
Nada. Ninguém fez nada. O medo
the fear is real. It's
real,
surreal. What we live through here.
It is surreal what we live through here. Yes, surreal is one word for it. I love that the podcast host interrupts him there. Santos says, it was 3 in the afternoon. I was leaving my office, going to the garage, getting my car, and I was mugged. They robbed me, took my briefcase, took my shoes and my watch. The host then interrupts him and says, they stole your shoes in the middle of Fifth Avenue? Really? The podcast hosts actually say they later asked George Santos for the police report for his
Portuguese
mugging
for
on the corner
straitjacket.
of Fifth Avenue and 55th Street at 3 p.m. in the middle of the day when they took, among other things, his shoes. But they say they never heard back from him when they asked for the police report.
Or Shoeless Santos, they called him from then on out.
Office for that police report. We will let you know if we hear anything. We've also put in a records request with the NYPD for any police report that matches what Mr. Santos described. We live in hope.
Where does this go from here? Do they kick him out of Congress? Does he just not win re-election in a year and a half? How does this play out? The saga of George Santos. Anthony DeVolder.
But perhaps the most magnificent moment of this interview.
Not high enough for this shit.
Congressman Santos tries to explain to these podcast hosts why it is that he personally takes such a hard line toward undocumented immigrants when he himself comes from a family of immigrants. Watch.
Por isso que eu sou acidamente crítico de pessoas que querem iniciar o seu sonho americano e aquela jornada e querem ensinar ela de forma errônea. Eu acho assim, os Estados Unidos foi criado em imigração. Foi criado em imigração, em diversidade. Eu incentivo a fazer, mas eu também incentivo de forma correta. Porque eu acho assim, imagina você iniciar um relacionamento com mentira ou com...
I have to read this quote. Imagine starting a relationship with a lie or someone doing something wrong, right? George Santos said, imagine starting a relationship with a lie or someone doing something wrong, right?
Fazendo uma coisa errada.
Imagine.
Né? Então eu acho que não é beneficente nem para mim, nem
it's not beneficial for me or for you in this relationship. He's talking about immigration.
I'm assiduously critical of people who want to start their American dream the wrong way. Imagine starting a relationship with a lie. Imagine starting a relationship with a lie. Imagine how awful that would be. Because, of course, he would never lie. Your Republican Congress at work. Republican Congressman George Santos.
No notes. I've got nothing to say after that. Rachel pointed out the same thing I did. I saw it immediately. I'm like, wow, he had the audacity. The audacity. That was supposed to be my lead in to George Santos, though. So I got you. I want to go one day. Did I make it through the clock? Yay. I want to go one fucking day without talking about this motherfucker, but every day he just does shit that's tailor-made for the Troll Patrol. I got so much George Santos news for you, it's not even funny. Starting off first, one of the things that may get him kicked out of Congress. Santos lists new treasurer. The treasurer says he doesn't work for the congressman. Embattled Representative George Santos, his campaign appears to be left without a treasurer.
And George Santos, he is now facing questions about where the money came from for his campaign. Our senior congressional correspondent, Rachel Scott, is tracking this for us. Good morning, Rachel.
Hey, Robin, good morning. And this
Those
is
damn
one of the
Canucks
most
up in
pressing
here.
questions in the controversy surrounding Congressman George Santos. How a candidate who made $55,000 was able to personally loan his campaign.
I love her jacket. It is a lovely color, and ma'am, that color looks great on you. You rock it.
$700,000 2 years later. This morning, the embattled New York congressman at the center of controversy, now facing new questions about his campaign finances.
No remarks for you guys right now.
Just months ago, George Santos reported loaning his campaign more than $700,000 of his own money. But this week, Santos made a change to those filings, unchecking the box which indicated most of that money came out of his own pocket.
I think I would have called it periwinkle.
Must disclose how they are funding their campaign. The Long Island Republican, accused of lying about his education and his background, has brushed off questions.
Where did it come from? Well, I'll tell you where it didn't come from. It didn't come from China, Ukraine, or Burisma. How about that? It's the equity of my hard-working self, and I've invested inside of me.
Santos has still not answered questions about how he was able to donate more than $500,000 to his campaign after earning $55,000 2 years earlier.
On that, I have no clue what you're talking about, ma'am. Have a great day.
But it's not just reporters looking for answers. Santos is facing multiple investigations. Federal prosecutors are looking into those campaign filings. So are Queens and Nassau County District Attorneys, New York State's Attorney General, and the Federal Election Commission. Santos has
Fair enough. It's on the blue side of
his
that
resume, but has denied any wrongdoing. And for now, Kevin McCarthy, who relied on his vote to become the next Speaker of the House, is not taking any action against Santos.
If for some way when we go through ethics that he has broken the law, or then we will remove him. But it's not my role. I believe in the rule of law. A person's innocent until proven guilty.
You see that in like a lot of comment sections and shit when people get accused of stuff. Like Justin Rowland gets fired from Rick and Morty, and people in the comment section are like, innocent until proven guilty. And I'm like, that doesn't apply to public opinion. That is a legal doctrine that says that the state has to prove their case against you. It has nothing to do with us as a society talking about somebody being a creep or not. A company can still fire you. Anyway, that's a side note there. With a disclosure filing deadline approaching as questions swirl around his use of campaign funds and battled rep, George Santos' campaign appears to be left without a treasurer. On Wednesday, several fundraising committees associated with the freshman congressman from New York filed amendments to their statements of organizations, notifying the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, of a new treasurer. But the newly listed treasurer, Thomas Datweiler, a veteran campaign finance treasurer who has served on multiple other political organizations, says he does not work for the Santos campaign and that the filings were signed under his name without his consent. That's illegal. That's forgery. That's fraud. That's illegal. On Monday, we informed the Santos campaign that Mr. Datweiler will not be serving as treasurer. Datweiler's attorney, Derek Ross, told ABC News it appears that there's been a disconnect between that conversation and the filings today, which we did not authorize. But he seems like such a fun guy. He's getting in fights with drag queens on Twitter. A RuPaul's Drag Race queen says her TikTok was suspended after she posted a video impersonating George Santos in drag. Oh my God. She did a good impression now, didn't she? Jan Sport of RuPaul's Drag Race had her TikTok account suspended. I don't understand the rules over there on TikTok. I'm just going to go ahead and point that out. I have multiple community standards violations. They haven't done anything to me. They've just taken my videos down. And it seems to be violence. That woman that shot the cops outside of the Motel 6, and I did a story about it. I don't even remember the song I used under it. It was a freaking news. But like the thumbnail was, and I used cartoons. It was cartoon blood, and it was cartoon cops, but like I put the heads of the real cops, put like X's on their eyes. I don't know what's going on with the TikTok. Said she was logged out after posting a video of her impersonating George Santos's drag persona. That's called parody. Photos and videos have emerged of the now congressman dressed in drag over a decade ago. And photos and videos of Representative George Santos apparently dressed in drag started to emerge earlier this month. JanSport was inundated with messages from fans telling her she had a doppelganger. The RuPaul's Drag Race star, who also goes by Jan, initially didn't know what everyone was talking about, but after looking at the photos of Kitara Ravashi, I hadn't heard the last name until I watched Saturday Night Live. Apparently Santos doesn't like any of the impersonations of him. And I think Bowen Yang does a fantastic job on Saturday Night Live. Jan knew what she had to do after seeing Kitara Ravashi On Saturday, she put on a wig, red dress, and some jewelry and spent all of 5 minutes doing her makeup. That's all it... all it took was 5 minutes to dress up like George Santos. We did it in one take. My hair was all a mess, and I was like, this could not have gone more perfectly if I had really tried. Initially, the video was well received, getting positive comments. More than 400,000 TikTok. Can we get to it? Is it there? Can we watch it? That is not it. I guess her account is still suspended and we can't watch the video. I feel like people are out to get me. Because of this video, she said, they're trying to silence our voices. The account was put under review for adult activity on Wednesday, and at the time of reporting, it remained locked. None of the videos on her account appear to fit the characterization of adult activity. Insider contacted TikTok, which said it would look into the matter. War Machine, good evening. Jan said her hypothesis is that the video may have brought her to the attention of anti-drag conservatives who mass reported her for adult activity. People are trying to make comparisons about drag queens and sexualizing things, she said, referring to right-wing talking points that allege drag queens brainwash and groom children. But I'm gonna show you who's grooming the children. We've got those stories coming up, and they're sickening. But it ain't the drag queens, I assure you. His 4-vote majority may get dwindled down to 3 if efforts to remove George Santos from the House are successful. Apparently, Santos is now saying he will step down from his committee positions.
After weeks of scrutiny, embattled Long Island Congressman George Santos is stepping away from both House committees he was appointed to.
He says he made the decision after meeting with the House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. CBS 2's Lisa Rosner here now with the dramatic turn of events. Lisa.
Well, Jessica and Maurice, as you know, the freshman congressman has been dodging questions from reporters almost daily. There's been allegations that he lied about his personal life and questions about his campaign finances. Today, he admitted all of this is a distraction. George Santos greeted reporters in the morning, but once he told colleagues he would step away from his 2 congressional committees, the Committee on Small Business and the Committee on Science, Space and Technology, he was not so cordial and said this when asked if the decision came at the request of Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who he met with beforehand.
Nobody tells me to do anything. I made a decision on my own that I thought best represented the interests of the president.
I don't know. I think it's a special election in New York.
In part, the business of the 118th Congress must continue without media fanfare. It is important that I primarily focus on serving the constituents of New York's 3rd Congressional District. It comes days after Santos' campaign treasurer Nancy Marks of Shirley notified the Federal Election Commission she resigned as treasurer. The FEC sent Santos a letter earlier this month requesting more information on his campaign financial filings. He's also being investigated by the House Ethics Committee. Speaker McCarthy claims Santos made the decision to step back from committees on his own.
Going through ethics on some of these concerns, and we'll make sure we'll allow the voters have elected him. He'll have a voice here in Congress, and until he answers all those questions, then at that time, he'll be able to be seated on committee.
Santos supporter Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene was in the meeting when Santos made the announcement.
He just felt like that there was so much drama, really, over the situation. Mr. Santos' statement in there was just saying that he spoke with
so much drama in the GOP
and made this decision on his own.
And McCarthy told reporters this is temporary until the investigations are over. So Santos remains in office, giving the GOP a slight advantage in voting. Now, Santos did tell reporters today that he did a TV interview and that it is going to be, quote, fun, but he did not say when or where that would be, but it is expected sometime today. Jessica and Maurice.
Well, I guess I'll have to go find that TV interview. Ah, shit, I did it again. How the fuck? I did that twice tonight. Hit the wrong button. They're above each other. Like, one button, the commercial is below. Oh, my God. My apologies. I did not know this was Morning Joe. I am so fucking sorry. I do not do this to you guys on purpose. I don't bring you Morning Joe on purpose. Meet the man who brought us George Santos. The dude who financed Santos's campaign.
Constituents, any response to all the accusations about the lies that
I'm sorry. I have spoken to constituents largely, and
largely,
I've been fielding calls and answers this whole time.
are any of them concerned about any of the accusations that have come out in the media about?
You know, the media does one good thing is you guys like blowing stories that are not there up, and you also use word salads to make sure you confuse the constituency of the American people.
Irony is dead. George Santos. Word salad. That was.
It appears like it was OAN.
The media for the string of lies he's told about his education, his resume, his religious background, and his family, some of which he has confessed to. New polling this morning from Newsday and Siena College shows 78% of voters from Congressman Santos's district want him to resign.
Yep, we're watching that after this.
78%. That includes 89% of Democrats, 72%.
Willie Geist is probably the least offensive part of this show, for sure.
Joining us now, editor at the New Yorker.
To be fair.
And his latest piece is titled, Meet the Man Who Brought You George.
I actually do like Willie Geist.
So many people are wondering how this happened. How did this guy get elected? And a big part of the story is a guy named Chris Grant. Who is he?
Chris Grant is the operative that was the general consultant for the campaign. So he kind of helped run the campaign, guided the campaign in many ways. And in many ways helped George Santos actually win. He runs a consultancy called Big Dog Strategies. So he consults on, last cycle was 100, maybe a little bit more than 100 Republican campaigns. But
Big what strategies?
Operative, kind of the Svengali for about 8 of them. And he was the guy who took over George Santos's campaign after the previous consultants quit.
When he says Svengali, who is Svengali? That's different than Svengoolie, the dude that hosts the thing on MeTV, right? Svengali and Svengoolie are two different people. Please verify that for me.
71% of Republicans want him gone. Joining us now, editor at the New Yorker, Zach Helfand. His latest piece is titled, Meet the Man Who Brought You George Santos. Zach, it's great to have you on this morning. So many people are wondering how this happened. How did this guy get elected? And a big part of the story.
Republicans are stupid.
Chris Grant. Who is he?
Chris Grant is the operative that was the general consultant for the campaign. So he kind of helped run the campaign, guided the campaign in many ways. And in many ways helped George Santos actually win. He runs a consultancy called Big Dog Strategies.
Big Dog Strategies.
Last cycle was 100, maybe a little bit more than 100 Republican campaigns, but he was the lead operative, kind of.
I'm going to start a Democratic strategy thingy, and I'm going to call it Big Cat Strategies.
George Santos's campaign after the previous consultants quit.
Big Pussy Strategies.
That even people inside the campaign were aware of George Santos's lies, and some of them even suggested he drop out of the race because it was going to be ugly when they were revealed. That was not the strategy, I take it, of Chris Grant. How did he approach this campaign?
Well, so there's still an open question of how much they knew. There was this opposition research panel that they convened, and they have this packet of opposition research. We don't know exactly how much they knew, but his strategy essentially was to run on the issues. And if you look at George Santos, like he gave a couple speeches on the floor of Congress now. He's not very exciting other than all the fantastical lies. You take that away, and there's a lot to take away. But if you take it away, he's a little bit dull. And I think in some ways that helped. They ran on the issues. They ran on inflation. They ran on crime. And that was basically it. And in a race when maybe a lot of voters weren't paying a ton of attention, it wasn't a presidential year, that was enough. He won by 8 points, so it wasn't like he just squeaked by.
So this Chris Grant, co-founder of Big...
He won by 8 points with less of the vote than he took in 2020 when he lost by like 7 points.
Dog Strategies. How did he and Santos get linked up? And Grant, you mentioned, has had, wide resume, a lot of other candidates. Have there been any others that have had any similar embellishments or even in the ballpark of what we're Santos? But is this a pattern we're seeing?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily a pattern. There are a lot of candidates that he represents, and they're kind of in that world. So you need a political operative you go to someone like Big Doug. It's a name that people know because he's worked on campaigns. He's had a pretty good track record. There was another candidate of his, Steve Watkins, who was kind of like a proto-Santos, not quite as imaginative maybe, but he won a race in Kansas for Congress. It later emerged that he had embellished parts of his story. He said that he was a hero on Mount Everest. He saved people after the earthquake there. At least he unlike Santos, he was actually like close to Mount Everest, close to base camp. He didn't save anyone. It was unclear if he actually lived in the district. He had some property in Alaska. It was unclear if he had property in Kansas. He listed his address as a UPS store. But this is, I think, when you're a political operative, you don't always get to choose your candidates. And the question that interested me is, when do you say no? Do you cut bait? And the answer for him was no, you stay the course and try to win.
And Gene, obviously one of the lessons so many of these candidates have learned from Donald Trump is when there's scandal out there, when there are lies, just put your head down and plow through them.
Exactly. That's what Trump did, and he's still standing, although we don't know for how long, but he's still standing. Zach, my question is whether the Santos's Svengali knew anything, or according to your reporting, about the money that went into the campaign, this phantom $700,000 that was lent by Santos, and it was not lent by Santos, apparently. Where was the money coming from, and what was his window on that or involvement in that?
That's a big question. I don't know for sure. So what we do know is that when you're a general consultant for a campaign, one of the things you're overseeing is the budget. And maybe the most important thing that you're overseeing is the budget. On the other campaign, they decided their budget did not include enough money for really thorough opposition research. So you could see how important managing that money is. So for Chris Grant, did he know where the money was coming from? That's unclear, but we do know that he was one of the people in charge of determining the money, allocating the money, planning for what money was coming in.
The piece is titled "Meet the Man Who Brought You George Santos."
All right, so let's clarify this. We're going to learn something tonight. So just to be clear, Bengali, a fictional character from the book Robi. The use of the word colloquially means a person who exercises a controlling or mesmeric influence on another. Mesmeric? Am I saying that right? I might have to fuck that up here. Mesmerizing influence. Is that correct? Or otherwise they would have used mesmerizing instead of mesmeric. Influence on another, especially for a sinister purpose. So that's Bengali. So it's apparently a dude, a spider with that dude's face or some shit. So that's Svengali. Svengoolie. Did I spell your name right? Svengoolie has been the premier horror show icon of Chicago since the late 1970s. He's appeared on a national basis on MeTV since 2011. This is Svengoolie. So, two completely different people here, but you can see how Justin could get a little confused. Svengoolie, Svengali. Svengoolie, Bengali. I like to be factual, unlike George Santos, who went on OAN earlier tonight. This is the interview that we heard referenced. I'm sorry to Twitch viewers who aren't subbed. You're going to get commercials during this. This is extra content anyway. I can't tell you when the commercial's going to hit, but it's going to happen sometime while we watch this. So my apologies if you were really looking forward to a 13-minute George Santos interview.
Resigns from his 2 House committee assignments. The news comes just hours after his exclusive interview with One America's Caitlin Sinclair for his first in-depth interview. Take a look.
In his first televised sit-down, a contrite George Santos gave me the opportunity to address the barrage of accusations against him. So does he set the record straight for the American people? Well, we'll let you decide. Preview of that conversation. George Santos, thank you for joining me.
That's what I thought contrite meant.
Obviously very eager to hear from you, so let's just get right to it. George, your entrance into politics has come at a time when the misconduct and the misdeeds of our elected officials have really shattered the contract between the American voters and their leaders. With that being said, you have said, as humiliating as it is, you want to take your medicine. You want to address the accusations and tell your story. So, what is
good
the
evening.
story of George Santos, and how did it become a story of mistruths?
So thank you. Well, fortunately for you, Merkin, you will not have to wait long for the biopic. Netflix has probably already got the rights.
For having me, Caitlin. I think it's
in pre-production.
America understands, that a lot can be said, a lot can be done, but that people should be judged on their actions and not by trial by fire through the media, which is what I've experienced for the last couple of weeks.
We're judging you by your actions of being a pathological liar.
Said that politicians have broken the fabric of trust with the American people, but that trust has been broken through betrayal in elections when they campaign on certain issues. And when they go into their offices, they behave and act and vote and deliver completely opposite of what they promised during the electoral process. So that's more so what I believe you're referencing to, and to what the American people has learned to feel deception on.
The business of politics is littered at the highest levels with deceit, mistruth, corruption, of course, and this is kind of the time that you're now entering politics. So with that climate...
So everybody else does it, so that makes it okay? Is that the argument?
Where do you want to start? And your story, your upbringing maybe?
Well, Caitlin, look, I come from a humble beginning. I've always said that. I grew up in abject poverty in Jackson Heights, in Queens, in New York City. People like me aren't supposed to do big things in life. And when we do, it disrupts the system. And I know that a lot of people want...
Buddy, you were born in Queens! Man, like, you're talking like you were born where I was in eastern Kentucky, in one of the poorest sections of the fucking world. Do you want to know people like me from eastern Kentucky who are surrounded by mountains and are not supposed to leave their fucking hometown? What the fuck? You were in Queens. You literally had fucking New York at your fingertips. Do you know what I would have given to be close to a city like New York where there was opportunity? One of the reasons why I've had such a hard time in my life is there's not opportunity in eastern Kentucky and East Tennessee and fucking Alabama. I can't get the fuck out of the South. Just being born in Queens was an advantage for you, you dumb shit.
To create this narrative that I faked my way to Congress, which is absolutely categorically false. I've worked hard. I've built ground up a career through experience and through knowledge and through self-education. And, I think it's amazing that I have to sit here.
Did you say self-education, not Baroque?
On a regular basis, yet again, by the media. I mean, look, DC is theatrical. There's a lot of theatrics going on in this place. 24/7.
You were certainly a theater kid.
All year round.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
I say that as a theater kid. I can take shots at him.
The speaker vote, that was, in the saddest way possible, that was made for television. Because if you look at the theatrics that took place throughout that entire operation of conversations of members from the other side and with one another, or the bizarre conversations that we would look at, or even the vote, the way that it went on for 15 rounds. It is
sad.
It's all sad because it's all at the expense of the American taxpayer.
George Santos did not come from a political dynasty. You did not come from a financially or academically advantaged background. Thinking back, though, have you always felt the need to present a more affluent or established image?
I've never presented anything other than what my means allow me to. So I've never had to establish or...
because it's OAN, it's
a friendly
outlet.
I'm the first one to say not doing that
can't afford it. I have no issue saying when I can and can't do things. I have no issues limiting my ability.
Yeah, this is OAN
for charity or for.
She is doing exactly what she wants to do.
To where my limits are, and I'm very cognizant of that, and I've always made it very clear. So I don't understand where these allegations come from. Oh, George Santos lives in a fantasy world, or whatever it is that they're trying to allude there, because it's just people who know me know that that's just not the case.
Would you say, or is it a fair statement to say that the idea that the end justifies the means was maybe a concept that you subscribe to?
Oh yeah, she's a shit reporter.
I'm just going to say, look, it was a bad decision, poor judgment. I felt the need to do it because I thought that without a diploma, I'd be looked down on and less than the other people.
As the end goal became loftier, became one of political ambitions, did the exaggerations become larger?
You'd have to define exaggerations because there's so many things out there.
Where do you draw the line between right and wrong? And as a public office holder, is there any scenario in which you feel it is okay to lie?
No, I don't think lying is excusable.
Is that even a fireplace?
Period. Right? That there's no circumstance, especially if you're
It could just be like a faux mantle.
Right now. So what I might have done during the campaign does not reflect what is being done in the office.
History has shown that the American people can pretty much forgive anything. But that starts with a sincere apology normally, a lot of remorse shown. Prevailing opinion is you have not yet shown that.
I don't know what you mean by that because I have
shown...
Well,
you seem angry. You seem
I'm not
angry.
Not angry at all.
Are you sorry?
I've said I was sorry many times.
For what?
As if I'm sorry. Look, if you want to compare emotions, people show emotions differently. I am sorry. I'm deeply sorry. I've fielded calls. I've been calling supporters to apologize directly to them for that. And I don't know what is asked of me right now. When you ask, oh, you have not shown remorse or you don't seem to look sorry. I don't know what looking sorry looks like to you, Caitlin.
You were a sorry-looking motherfucker, that's for sure.
There right now, from your
has nothing to do with being apologetic, though.
I've not heard a sincere apology from you yet.
I've made my sincere apology multiple times. I earlier said it that I thoroughly apologize for lying about my education and embellishing the resume. I've made that very, very clear.
Lying about your education and embellishing your resume. That's understatement.
Don't know what more can be said other than admitting. Is there anything more humbling and humiliating than admitting that on national television, Caitlin?
So you say you're not angry.
I'm not angry at all.
Oh, you're going to tell us you're not
angry at what you
Jewish?
Claim is a agenda by the media trying to take you down.
Anger is something I don't dwell in because anger yields nothing positive.
Fair enough, OAS. Good evening, by the way.
Always in an upbeat personality. I try to remain the same person. People know me to be high energy, energetic, upbeat, and I will remain that because that's who I am. Now, angry, that's maybe you can say that I'm passionate about all of this.
Bragg, good evening.
Not something
he is Jewish, twice removed.
What emotions do you feel right now?
Sad that I put myself in.
He's a sad panda.
And I own up to it. But I'm sad that the media has decided now to target my family. The media has decided to target and harass my friends, anybody around me.
George, your ex-lovers, roommates, they've all been coming forward and talking to the media. The media isn't harassing them. They have been spilling the tea on you. As for your family, you're the one that invoked your family, that you fled the fucking Holocaust, that your mom died in 9/11.
Signed up for this job, Caitlin. I signed up for this. not my sister with my 5-year-old autistic niece, or not my
Oh, that's low.
dogs. They didn't sign up.
But you knew putting yourself in, anyone that puts themselves in the spotlight, they know what baggage that comes with.
I have yet to see this be done to other members of Congress's family. From the death threats to the media harassment, pounding down the door, leaving passive-aggressive notes.
Buddy, where you been?
Glad to share with you, and if you can air this during this, I'll share you passive-aggressive, threatening notes of.
He's got ex-lovers. He's got roommates that have come forward. He got a dude that got ripped off by his fake dog charity.
You're sad you're upset with yourself. You're sad that it came to this point, but you're sad also with how the media has handled this.
I think that the media has.
What a course of events brought us to this point where I'm watching an interview with a sitting U.S. congressman who's talking about how he's sad.
Spun out of absolute control when they started attacking. Since they couldn't get to me, they tried to get to other aspects of my life that they knew would affect me. And that was going after my little sister and her daughter, and that was going after my husband, and that was going after friends and supporters. They knew that.
And it did affect you.
Wait, did he just say his husband? He's not married as far as that. Like, he just divorced a woman before the election. Did we just get a new lie from George Santos?
When you hurt the people I care about, it affects me more than when you're trying to take cheap shots at me.
What would you say, George, that you would have done differently?
I wouldn't have lied about the education. I would have just fought like hell to get that nomination and to be the.
But in that same sentence, you've also said that you don't believe you would be sitting in this chair right now as Congressman George Santos if you didn't lie.
It's catch-22, but if I can do it all over again, I would change that one aspect and I'd just fight harder. In
your prior televised interview that you've brought up, you defended your wrongdoings by pointing.
So an ex-boyfriend of Republican, like, I found nothing that he's married. An ex-boyfriend of Republican Representative George Santos said he had no idea that the congressman was married to a woman, not to a man. Because he said husband just a second ago. My husband was married when they first started dating, even after moving in together with Santos and his then wife in her apartment. Pedro Villarva, who was 18 in 2014 when he met Santos, described the living situation in an interview with Insider. Santos, who is now openly gay, was 26 at the time and married to a woman.
To the fact that your political adversaries have lied to, like President Joe Biden.
And I stand corrected on that statement. One thing doesn't excuse the other. Just because
Mr. Elwood, good evening.
States is a 40-year career pathological liar doesn't make it okay for anyone else to go out and do that.
What?
And that was a terrible comparison. That was 6 days.
Come on, man.
4 to 6 days, something. So it was right after Christmas, since the story broke, and it's terrible. They're just terrible. I don't stand by those comments. I don't agree to those comments. And
so you were not suggesting that the American.
What that news be doing?
Dishonesty.
No, I was not. Absolutely, I'm not suggesting that. And on that interview after.
It was about the same thing it's been doing every day: mass shootings, cop death, and now George Santos lies.
The cameras went off, so that was a terrible line. I don't know what the hell I'm saying here. So to try to even articulate, look, Joe Biden is a 40-year-long career pathological liar. He's the president of the United States. That does not make it.
Takes one to know one.
And I've learned my lesson, and I can guarantee you that from now on, anything and everything is always going to be above board. It's largely always been above board. I'm just going to go the extra step now to double check.
I'm pretty sure I caught you up in a lie in this interview.
As you know, unlike some, not for decades. But I have also come into it at a time where the level of corruption and the degree to which politicians get away with lying, this has all been highlighted recently. So with this climate in mind, given the number of scandal-plagued politicians that get away unscathed, do you think that's the back
organizations like OAN, which is helping them get away with it, like you're helping George Santos get away with it, trying to whitewash him?
When it came to light, I sat there and I said, damn it.
George Santos, good luck
Thank
and
you.
Godspeed.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date.
I'm sorry you guys started a streaming service now. Maybe if you had done it in 2017, 2018, you might have had some success, but you started a streaming service now. Oof. Oh boy. Not a good move. Ask CNN what it was like launching a streaming service last year. Herschel Wrong. Good evening, my friend. Here coming in for the resub. Soup for my breadline. Thank you for the raid. Love you guys. Welcome in. We've been finding out what that news be doing. My name is JustinFREAKIN. For anyone who does not know who I am, I bring you the news Sunday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can ask the chat. I will find you the wildest videos the internet has to offer, some of the funniest videos the internet has to offer,